They were the recognition of what was going on. When they arrived, it's as if we knew we had been doing the right thing the whole time.
All right, now you know about all the stars of country music who live and record in Nashville, and you know about the Grand Ole Opry and the Country Music Hall of Fame and Webb Pierce's house and maybe even all the other tourist attractions. But what about the featured attractions of Nashville the tourists never see or don't realize they're seeing? We're talking about the non-public superstars of Nashville, people who are only stars to the stars. The invisible heroes, heroines, characters, and outright Lulus of Music City.
Oh, I hear this.
Well, I'm from Oakland. This is Oakland here. Store Club is in Oakland, so I'm back to my hometown. I was born in Alameda. We moved to Oakland when I was a month old, and we were on the second set of railroad tracks. So the second set of railroad track went through our backyard, and it was like a 2-bedroom house, 6 kids in one room, my mother and father in the other room. We were very, very poor. So I left school when I was like 16, and I got married so that, I could get away from home legally without running away. And I joined a magazine crew. And after a month, I left him, and I stayed on the mag crew. But then I was of age because I was legally married. So I was married for a month when I was 16, which made me legally of age. Then I came back here after 6 months, and I got IDs. Somebody gave me IDs saying I was 26 years old when I was 16. And I looked 12, And I worked in all the bars. And I was a cocktail waitress. I was a bouncer. I was kicking out people that were older than me, In San Diego, I'd be the bouncer, and I'd kick out people that were 19 and 20 when I was 16, Okay, so then I came back here, and I was a topless dancer. I was a real good dancer. And they says, well, we'll give you $25 if you just do a couple dances, like every hour you go up, and they had shows in those days. And they had the amateur topless contest, which was rigged. They gave you, entry forms when you came in, but nobody ever entered it. We all worked it. And there was broads like 80 years old, and chicks with tits down to their knees, and chicks with no tits at all. It was a freak show. And so they said, well, we'll give you $25 a show if you go in this. And I said, well, I ain't got no tits. We don't care. I weighed like 100 pounds, And I dressed Carnaby by then. I had, hip hugger, corduroys, size 3-4. I was skinny. And high boots, and quit wearing a bra. It was hippie days, so it was like this. My hair was like this, no makeup. So they'd say, hey, that's a boy. And so one night I wanted to win. Even though it didn't matter, I wanted to win. So one night, they asked you what your name was and what do you do for a living, why you decided to be a topless dancer. So one night they said, what's your name? And years before, back when I was a bartender, the bartender couldn't remember my name, and he called me Snow Boots because I had white boots on. And one night he said, hey, George, throw me a beer. I said, George? Yeah, you, George, throw me a beer. So I always thought George was funny. I weighed like 100 pounds. George is a big guy, yeah. So I thought, oh, well, that's cool. Okay. So I always thought George was funny. So one night he said, what's your name? And I said, George. And the whole place fell down laughing. And I won after that.
I grew up on a working cattle ranch. There were no buildings, there were no people, there were no neighbors, there was no television, there was no telephone except, well, everyone had a telephone, but when you received a phone call, you had to tolerate hearing everyone else's ring. Everyone was designated a certain ring, like our ring was 2 long rings and a short ring. So the entire community shared the same line. And it was very, very rugged. That's all I wanted to be, was an actress. I never, ever considered music, except that I did, you know, I used to enjoy singing. I always thought I fancied I had a good voice, but I really wanted to be a movie star.
I went to Mexico to become a movie star because I thought the competition would be slimmer. And I got into many, many movies.
Sí, por eso la vi que viene a pasar aquí sus vacaciones. What did you do today?
Un champán.
¿Y con?
¿Me encargaste mi Bloody Mary?
Sí, seguro. Esperando están.
¡Messi! ¿Por qué no pones más cuidado, idiota?
And as soon as I left high school, I went to San Francisco and was immediately put into this play. I joined up, well, with the committee improvisational group in North Beach in San Francisco, and I ended up with a big part in this offshoot of that theater group. And so within weeks of going to San Francisco, I was already in a play, having a great time. It was so much fun. I was so happy. I remember when I first went to San Francisco thinking, oh, I found myself, I'm really happy, this is it. I met George. I'd seen George in North Beach. I'd seen her around in some coffee houses, and I was very impressed with her presence and her confidence. She was so confident and bossy. She was very intimidating, and she seemed to know what she was about, and I really admired that.
And whenever I'm on the stage, I say, oh, everybody come up and sing with me. I've always done that. And one night, Star came up and sang with me.
And I joined George haphazardly, and we ended up, she said, why don't you join my act? We have a really perfect harmony. In fact, we kind of sounded like the Everly Brothers. It was sort of silly. And she took me to the coffee gallery, and I didn't know any of the words to the songs. I didn't know her repertoire, and she had a repertoire.
And we didn't do original stuff. We did the Beatles,